Hey, this is Shobhit Chugh. The product management job market is completely broken. While you and many others like you might be applying to hundreds, even thousands of jobs, hoping for one interview, hoping to make it past the recruiter screen to the next round, there's all these other product managers that have found ways to circumvent the craziness of the job market and to directly land interviews and land things like 3 offers in this crazy market. So I'm going to be revealing 5 of the secret techniques that help you stand out rather than to fit in and prevent you from failing at your job search. Stay tuned for more, especially for number 5, which is going to sound crazy, but it's actually dead simple and super effective. Let's start with number 1, emotional hooking. Most of the time what's happening is people are trying to fit in. So they're trying to prove that everything that you need from a perspective of meeting the job requirements, they're able to do. They're showcasing their experiences. They are, building resumes specific to jobs, all those sort of things. But what does that miss? Well, the interviewer, in their mind, they're evaluating 2 things. Number 1, can this person do the job? Number 2, do I want to work with them? And a part of that is, how are they different as a person from everyone else who I've spoken to? And I've spoken to a lot. So what is emotional hooking? It is hooking your interviewer emotionally with like an emotional connection with something unique that you might have mentioned. It has to be the kind of thing that when they look back at the interview, if they were to have like a phrase or a short thing that you might showcase, well, they remember you and they're like, oh yeah, like that person. I remember one of our clients, they were interviewing at an e-commerce company, and they, during many conversations, they brought up the fact that, look, they are going through a long distance relationship. And one of the things that this company has allowed them to do is to send various forms of gifts to the person that they're in a relationship with. And, it keeps things going. And it's been a big part of actually just maintaining that piece. So just that part is something that the interviewers are going to remember. They're emotionally hooked into it. And even when they're gonna talk about it, they are going to actually say, oh, you, that guy who did this. That's what you want. And what that does is it creates a connection whereby now this interviewer is not just remembering you, they're actually gonna fight for you. They're gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. They're like, yeah, I kind of want to work with that person. They have a personality. They are human. And I can see them as my coworker. I can see going and having coffee with them and, get-togethers, enjoying their company. So emotional hooking is a super important aspect of standing out and not just fitting in. Standing out, not fitting in, tactic number 2. The politician's best friend. Whoa. You might think, Shobhit, that sounds pretty weird, but it's actually a very insightful thing that politicians do. And by the way, if you enjoy these tactics, I mean, we go into a lot more depth so you can implement it in the Intentional Job Search program. So I will leave a link to that in the description of this video. But coming back to politician's best friend, what do politicians do? Well, if you ask them almost any question, they want to twist it around and they want to bring it back to their talking points. Exactly, they might have 4 or 5 things in their stump speech. They have those points memorized. They're going to twist the question around. They're going to bring it back to those things. Those are the issues they want to talk about. That's how they want to brand themselves. Well, what about you? I mean, what is a politician doing? It's trying to create this memory for their audience so that they associate them with certain things. You need to do the same as an interviewee. You need to associate yourself with some of your top achievements and the skill to change conversations to focus on the most important points that you have, the most important aspects of your candidacy that are important, your biggest achievements, things that help you stand out. That is just like such a critical skill. And so don't just try to answer the questions given. Change them, twist them, bring them around to why you are so amazing, what makes you an awesome fit for that role. And by doing that, you stand out. And by reinforcing that message, and everyone has the same message, now you can do things such as excel in those interviews, and not just excel. I mean, it's great that you're excelling in the interviews and you might get the job, but you might actually be able to negotiate higher positions, higher salaries, and just do really well. So that's another way of standing out, the politician's best friend. Tactic number 3. Here's another way you stand out. I call this technique the I've already thought through it. I've already thought through it. What do I mean? Well, very often you get asked questions for which you might not have a good answer to give, right? Like, tell me about a time that you've led a team of product managers to do X. Maybe you haven't. Okay, what do? Do you just say, hey, sorry, I haven't? Well, no. Well, what you say is, look, I haven't had exactly the closest situation, but if I were to do this, here's how I would go and tackle it. And then you explain your approach. Essentially, what you're trying to you're never trying to showcase that you've done every single thing that they're asking for. That's pretty much not going to happen. However, you do want to showcase that you have the ability to think through any situation, to act well in that situation, because that is what they're after. And that makes you stand out. Because while other candidates are mumbling and trying to make up stuff or find the closest story or whatever, well, you're the one who's saying, yeah, I can handle this. Here's something similar I've done, or here's how I'll think through it. So I've already thought through it is one of your best friends. By the way, if you're loving the tips so far, you want to hear more about product management and getting your career to the next level, make sure you hit the subscribe, whatever's hot on YouTube right now. Make sure you do that. You share it. Share these videos with your friends, you talk to your cat about them, whatever you want to do, just absolutely do with these videos. Number 4, I call this the McKinseyfication. McKinsey, I used to work there, a consulting firm. We were taught this one thing over and over again. You begin everything with, there's 3 aspects to that. There's 3 things I've thought about. I want to talk through 3 aspects. Everything's in 3. Well, why 3? Sure. I know that there's a lot of research that shows that people are best at remembering somewhere between 2 to 5 points, and even 5 is too much. 3 is more than sufficient. Any less, and it might seem you haven't really thought through it. That's the important thing. But the real important thing is you're guiding them through your answer. And when you think of standing out and not just fitting in, by using this framework, what you're doing, because most other people are not, right? Most other people are not. What you're able to do now is you're able to differentiate yourself as someone who has really awesome communication. And the thing is, they will follow you along. The biggest obstacle to interview success is that they can't follow you because you're throwing too much new information at them. Your interviewer gets overwhelmed. They fail to understand why something is relevant. And in their mind, what's really going on is, oh, when will this person shut up? Please make him shut up. I am done. I have this next meeting. Then their mind goes elsewhere. You're losing them. This is how you catch them back and you bring them back. And by that, their focused attention, you're actually going to stand out. Stand out, don't fit in, do the McKinseyfication of your answer, and do really well. Now, the last one is I have always been distinctive. Now, this might seem quite confusing, but it's actually quite simple. So I have worked with many people who I noticed they used to keep bringing back this one thing about them. Maybe they did really well in some sport. Maybe they did really well in a company, something which was unique and which stood out about them. And I named it that I was only distinctive, with keeping in mind one of my awesome coworkers who I have a lot of respect for. And what this person did really well, they had once or twice been rated as distinctive at McKinsey. Distinctive is the highest category of consultants, maybe 5% of people get that. It's quite a feat to get that in a year. Now, they weren't always distinctive, but they were once. And I remember them bringing it back over and over again without being obnoxious. I could see in different conversations, they would just slip it in somewhat, and without trying to claim too much credit for it. And if you can do that, now this other person's gonna always remember that. This person was distinctive at McKinsey, or whatever, this person was selected in top 15 cricketers out of in a state which has like 50,000 people competing for it. Like something unique about you, they're going to remember, and it has to be something that's, awesome. That makes them think that you are actually amazing at something. Even if it's not exactly amazing at the product management job that they're after, you're amazing at something, and that translates to you probably being amazing at the shop. Number 5 sounds difficult, is actually very simple. I've always been distinctive. Follow that and stand out. If you enjoyed these tips so far, make sure you check out this video where I go further into how to succeed in your product management interviews.